Hey guys, and welcome to another week in astrology. This is for the weekend of September 25th through the 27th. So, we're always looking at Friday, Saturday, Sunday in these videos. And today I thought, why not bring it outside, Libra season, we want to kind of zhuzh up the look of things, maybe have some small changes. I currently can't seem to quite find the right spot because the sun is moving through my fourth house, and so I'm actually encouraged to stay indoors more when we're looking at the fourth house in Cancer energy. But I'm stubborn, and so I've decided that we're gonna shoot this out here on my stoop. So the Libra season is starting off in, classic fashion. We're already feeling this energy of like, ooh, let's, flirt around town. Let's re-download Tinder or Hinge or, talk to an ex, things like that. And it rules our deeper connections. So Libra and Venus really shares with us who's really important in our lives. And that's going to be one of the deeper meanings of this. See, what do I tell you? There's like just distractions all around. There are going to be a lot of deeper connections that you'll notice in this season if you haven't already started connecting to people already, because even at the tail end of Virgo season, we can start to see that transition when we're moving through the cusp. And so you may have already had a situation where you've connected to a loved one of some kind, or just got back on the dating wheel. So looks good on all of us. Libra season is really about how do we appear. It can easily be dismissed as a very vain, shallow sign, and that's really doing it a discredit, because the deeper purpose of Libra energy is to allow us almost to see outside of ourselves, to see how we appear to other people. And that in itself is very meta. It's very broader, and we're allowing ourselves almost to look at things in a more meaningful way when we do that. And I can't help but think about like the art museum correlation. When you look at something and the abstract part of your mind starts to work and isn't totally sure of like what it all means, but you're having these internal dialogues and you're trying to see, okay, well, what could this represent? What was the artist intending, or at least appreciating the work that went into it. Those are all kind of aspects of this season. And so what this does put into focus for us is we're going to be noticing a lot of stuff from other people. So you will, likely kind of get a little envious of what other people have. Venus rules material possessions, wealth, and just looking good, maybe even a higher status. I feel like a lot of influencers could have some good Venus placements. And so, we're paying attention to people that really seem to have it all together and just seem to be doing things a little better than the rest of us. But I think, if you guys don't already know by now, everybody's struggling with something, and just because it appears like someone has everything under wraps is not usually the case. So if anything, if you find yourself getting into this cycle of comparing yourself to other people in Libra season, try to step back and be like, I might not be able to see what's going on with them, but I know that they have problems and issues that they're working through, and I can't compare myself to what they're presenting, because that's only a small portion of the image. Like what we're putting out into the world doesn't give everyone or ourselves that full picture. And so, we can't really understand fully a situation or a person when, we're not taking the time to really see all the sides, all the angles. It's like looking in astrology and narrowing your focus on one planet or house. And sure, you get a little taste of what they're going to appear to be like, but it's not a full expression of the individual. And so that's going to be a big challenge, but also an opportunity for us to invite in this season, you know. So please bear that in mind. I already noticed on my walk this morning, or run, I ended up at an art museum, and it's not a path that I usually take, and I was like, wow, this is so Libra energy. I saw a statue of Joan of Arc, you know, one of like the most heroic feminine icons in history. You know, and it was just like such a Libra moment that was very unexpected for me, because it's not the route that I usually go, and I'm somebody that is very routine in my daily life. Mars and Virgo, so and then I can't help but keep noticing this shirt. So this is, if you guys have seen Parks and Rec, this is the treat yourself. And I just felt like it very much resonated with the Libra energy. You know, we want to have the nicest things, we want to eat the finest food, we want to, you know, be on a date, feeling gorgeous about ourselves, wearing the best clothes, shopping till we drop. You know, all of that stuff is very much this part of the show where Tom and Donna go on this like shopping spree day, and they call it Treat Yourself. And then whatever year it is. So welcome to Treat Yourself 2020. I guess we could call Libra season Treat Yourself season. I hope there's no copyright issues with that. But yeah, it's, you know, it's a time where we do just want things to be and look nicer. And, you know, the time now isn't going to allow for that to be fully expressed like in a normal year. I think we all know by now that this is one for the books, and so we're rolling with it. We don't know what each new season is really going to present or focus on, but we are kind of just, you know, tuning into every lesson and every setback that we have along the way, because there is still very, very deep transformation that is happening in everyone's life in every way. And especially if you look at where Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter are in your chart, that house specifically is where you're going to find the most transformation, you know, this year. So a little homework for you guys there. So the weekend, we start off Friday, moon in Capricorn. Not necessarily a fun moon to have, very work focused. Capricorn energy is the energy that doesn't like to sit still. You know, even when it is not at work, it's still finding work to do, whether that's just chores around the house, it's, you know, connecting to people, keeping those resources going, you know, and just finding opportunities to almost take on more work. And so, you know, Capricorn energy can be a little chaotic sometimes because it's so focused on staying productive that, you know, it's not like Taurus where it balances out with some own pleasurable moments, or like, you know, like good food, all that stuff to enjoy. And so when the moon's in Capricorn, it really doesn't like that spot either, because the moon's natural placement is in Cancer, which is opposite Capricorn. So we already kind of have this like itchy feeling when the moon is in Capricorn, and it makes us have to push a little harder on ourselves. And I've already noticed that I've had like some issues doing work this week, and the moon has been moving through, you know, all of those tough placements that have been happening in Capricorn. And right now it's closest to Saturn. And so really notice what's going on with work today. I am recording this on Friday, and, you know, sometimes we just don't really have the willpower to show up for work, you know? And so that's kind of like one of the things that may be occurring for you this Friday. You know, it depends on what your natal moon is and where this all falls, but, you know, typically the moon in Capricorn makes us a little more of a struggle to do the work that we need to do, especially if you have to do some going into the weekend. That's never fun. Sorry, you know, let's see here. So I wrote all this down, some of this, and then let's see. We are also squaring Mercury. So when the moon is squaring Mercury, you know, we don't really like that position either. Squares bring about tough energy. It's like that coworker that you don't want to work with today. You're just like, oh, you know, here we go. This is going to be some sort of an issue. And it's almost like we kind of prepare ourselves, you know, by dreading the situation before it happens when we see a square. And I want to invite us to like maybe not look at them as such a bad energy. You know, it's like when you get the death card in tarot, people go into freak out mode, and that's hardly the actual meaning of the card. And just like that with squares, we're going to be like, oh, you know, we're in for a fucking tough day because there's a square with Mercury and the moon. You know, while it does bring some communication issues, that doesn't mean that they can't end up actually turning out for the better. So like when you stifle over something, you have to work a little harder to get your words out, to get your point across. You may find an alternative route that allows you to express yourself in a different way. And so there is some power in being challenged and not doing things the way we always expect. And so that's what we can see when we look at the square aspects in astrology. You know, and so today, you know, hard conversations, or just kind of, again, finding that rhythm, that willpower to do the work, you know, with the moon placement and squaring Mercury, as well as squaring Mars, which, as you guys know, recently went into retrograde. So we're already feeling like we can't do as much, and maybe even taking days off. I've noticed this pattern this week where I do a lot of work one day and then I do none the next. And so it can kind of be extremist in a way, you know, and it's more about, since Mars and Aries, its ruler, fall opposite Libra, it doesn't really know what balance is natally. You know, that's something that Libra is better at. It's like, you know, treat yourself, but then go back to work the next day. Or like, you know what I mean? It's like, have fun with your partner, but then, you know, go do the responsible thing. And so it's constantly weighing, and Mars doesn't have that sense of judgment, of like what is responsible. You know, it is kind of the kid energy in the zodiac. And so, especially with it being slowed down in its retrograde, it really doesn't know what is up or down, where it can find this harmony and balance in its life. And so, especially you Aries out there, hoping that it doesn't get too chaotic for you guys. Just slow down, if anything. You know, you can't do it all. You can't operate at Aries level 365 days of the year. It's just not possible. You know, and so as we move through certain seasons, they're going to affect more signs, you know, in different ways. So really tune into that, you know, and try to see what balance looks like in your life. You know, if you're an Aries or have a very heavy Aries placement in your chart, or Mars. But yeah, Moon and Capricorn, you know, it's a little tougher for us to get things off the ground today. And so we may kind of just result into just giving into our impulse to just rest, to rest and to eat and relax. Very moon-oriented energy. So there's nothing wrong with like taking a sabbatical for a day or taking the day off, you know, and to some degrees, you may even have to do that at a bigger level if just work is just too much for you right now. So that's Friday. That's, you know, kicking off, you know, today. And then we have Saturday, Moon in Aquarius. And so it'll be transitioning into the sign of Aquarius very early in the morning. And from that, you know, Capricorn isn't all bad. It's just not great for the moon to be in. But there is opportunity there. Obviously, when we look at Capricorn, it's going to find stuff to work on. And so there is a sense of production still happening. And then Aquarius, on Saturday, Moon in Aquarius really allows us to see what we're doing and understand, you know, why it's not helping us or why it is working for us, you know? And so Capricorn is more of a physical. It doesn't really want to dive deeper into the meaning of things. It's just about like kind of checking things off the list, very earth sign oriented. But when we move into those air signs with the moons, we tend to get a better handle on our situation by kind of seeing it in a different, broader perspective. And so, whenever the moon is in Aquarius, expect to see some big kind of like aha moments, or like a light bulb going off. You're like, oh, that's why that's happening, or that's why I felt that way. All of a sudden, like that Aquarius stuff can really happen very fast. It's associated to lightning. And so those instincts and impulses can skyrocket and drift down, depending on what the day holds. And so Moon in Aquarius, we're focusing on our connections to people very distant from us, or even just our friends, and distant and different is the key word. They may be literally in a different country or something. Aquarius is a bridge, so that means that it does promote connections to people from different places and backgrounds. And that's why, friendships can be so diverse, and so it really encourages us now more than ever to take on every little dose of Aquarius energy we get, because it is teaching us ahead of time before we move into 2021, and really the age of Aquarius begins to open for us. And so see what that energy looks like, for you. See how it affects you. Maybe you're a Leo and it's not very natural for you to work with Aquarius energy, or maybe you are an Aquarius and you really like that attention when it comes around. So Saturday, the moon will be trining the sun in Libra. So we love a trine. Trine means that the two planets or energies are of the same element. So Libra and Aquarius are air. So that means a lot of connections. And when we look at the Libra stuff, it's romantic in nature too, or at least deep. And so these people that maybe you're separated from by having to be in isolation right now, you're connecting with them, especially Saturday, in some really big ways, and just promoting kind of a deeper sense of understanding each other. And so that's great. Now, when we look at Saturday as well, we do have a challenging square with Uranus. Now, this one's going to be interesting because that little dose of Aquarius energy we're getting from the moon is going to be heightened a little bit because its natal planet of Uranus is coming into play the same day. Now, right now, Uranus is in Taurus, and it'll be there for a while. It's a very slow-moving planet. So we've got the moon aspecting both the sun in Libra and Uranus and Taurus. And if anyone's connecting the dots there, Libra and Taurus are ruled by the same planet of Venus. And so we have almost double Venus energy and double Uranus or Aquarius energy, if you will. And so that means that really when it comes to the finances, you're going to see what's really holding you back, or what can be improved in significant ways, because that's Uranus. It's coming up with insights, answers, and it's putting to focus our money problems or our relationships, and so this weekend, I think, will be a very encouraging one to just look for deeper meaning in things, It is becoming a lot more fun to have Libra and Venus energy. But yeah, it's all about kind of understanding that stuff to begin with. So friends and family, moon, whenever we look to the moon, that can be affected. So you may have some money issues you're running into with your friends or your family, very unexpected stuff happening, some power outages even when we see Uranus